NICCOLO, Agnese and BAKIRI Ryadh present From LIBOR to SOFR, Transition Guide. What is LIBOR? It stands for London Interbank Offered Rate. LIBOR is calculated by the Intercontinental Exchange, ICE. It's an index that measures the cost of funds to large global banks operating in London financial markets or with London-based counterparties. Each day, the British Bankers Association surveys a panel of banks asking the question: what interest rate are you willing to pay to borrow from other banks in a certain maturity and a certain currency at 11 a.m. London time? The BBA throws out the highest 4 and lowest 4 responses and average the remaining middle 10, yielding trend mean. The average is reported at 11:30 a.m. by Thomson Reuters. LIBOR is actually a set of indexes. There are separate LIBOR rates reported for 7 different maturities for each of 5 currencies. The shortest maturity is overnight, the longest is 1 year. Let's take an example, the 3-month US dollar LIBOR interest rate. This rate is the average rate at which a selection of banks in London are prepared to lend to one another in American dollars. With maturity of 3 months, in the United States, many private contracts reference the 3-month dollar LIBOR.
Let's now talk about SOFR and its history. After a review of major interest rate benchmark in 2014, the Financial Stability Board understood that the decline in wholesale unsecured short-term funding by banks posed structural risk to IBORs, and so, in June 2017, the Fed's Alternative Reference Rate Committee selected the SOFR as the new USD reference rate. The SOFR is a secure overnight financing rate based on 3-party and bilateral repo data, compiled and published by the New York Fed. On the 7th of May 2018, the SOFR future started to be traded, and we can say that SOFR is set to replace LIBOR over the coming years because the transition timeline has been accelerated in the wake of FCA announcement that it will no longer compel banks to submit LIBOR after 2021. The SOFR was chosen for many reasons. One of that is the robust trading volume underpinning it. We are talking about more than $700–800 billion per day. Another reason is the fact that the rate is calculated from real transaction and not estimated on indicative prices, and for the fact that it comes from T-party and bilateral repo. Another important reason why SOFR was chosen is because it's a volume-weighted median, so it is more resilient to fat tails. Let's now compare SOFR with LIBOR, so we can understand in a better way how and why this choice was taken. SOFR is secured funding, while LIBOR is unsecured. SOFR is an overnight rate and is calculated, as we said before, on the volume-weighted median, while LIBOR is calculated on a trimmed mean of submitted rates. And LIBOR blew out amid credit concern and dollar funding shortages, gaining a reputation as the canary in the coal mine during the crisis. Dealer repo data suggests SOFR would have been much more volatile than Fed funds, often trading well below the effective rate as collateral took on a premium. So, finally, where should we expect SOFR to generally trade going forward? As bill supply is set to expand late in 2018 and indeed further into the future, and Treasury finances seems bigger than $1 trillion deficits, SOFR should see upward pressure relative to the policy rate over the medium term, even against the backdrop post-money funds reform of significantly higher government money fund demand. We should expect day-to-day volatility to persist. One thing to take into consideration is that as Fed publish more data on the rate distribution and both borrowers and lenders see they are paying above or below market rates, we could see volume consolidate around SOFR and less expansion, at least on the margin.
As said before, USD LIBOR's transition is supported by an institutional push from both public and private stakeholders. This transition is made by the issuance of the first derivative of SOFR, the SOFR futures. You can see here the SOFR future issuance timeline composed by the biggest worldwide banks and institutions. In May, CME started issuance of 1-month and 3-month SOFR futures. These futures largely parallel existing 30-day Fed funds futures and 3-month euro-dollar futures. 1-month SOFR futures final settlement value will reflect the arithmetic average of SOFR rate over the course of the contract months, just like Fed funds futures reflect the average Fed funds rate. How to illustrate better the 3-month SOFR future than this image? Let me explain it. The settlement value of the 3-month euro-dollar reflects the 3-month LIBOR on the 3rd Wednesday of the contract month, whereas the 3-month SOFR future will reflect the daily compounded SOFR rate over the 3-month reference period. These 3-month SOFR futures are backward-looking, as opposed to 3-month euro-dollar futures, which are forward-looking. What does it imply? As explained previously, on a daily basis, SOFR is more volatile than existing LIBOR or EFFR. But the compounding process affected to the future reduces the volatility to the point that 3-month SOFR futures are less volatile than 3-month LIBOR. This chart, coming from a Natixis document and taking a source from the Fed database, shows the volatility of 3-month LIBOR in light blue and of 3-month compounded SOFR in dark blue.
To conclude, we hope that you enjoyed this presentation and that the topic was interesting for you. Thank you for watching.